Okay, this is kind of a continuation to my video called Mourning, Grieving, Drug Addiction, etc. And I wanted to kind of point out a couple things because I think I sounded kind of harsh in that video. For one, a lot of drug addicts, in fact, the vast majority of drug addicts, completely refuse help. And this is because, of course, as a drug addict, their minds don't think properly. They would rather have, they'd rather get high than do anything, and their minds don't think properly, so they don't. But what it comes down to is that, yes, they don't want to get help. It's not about them saying no for some other reason. It boils down to they don't want to get help. They like being a drug addict. God, my nose is so stuffy. I wish it would go away. Okay, but uh, and I think that as like parents and loved ones of drug addicts, like we try to place the blame on everything else because it's just so painful. We don't want to face the fact that yes, our child, our loved one, or whatever was a fucking low down thieving ass junkie. But they were, and I know it sounds really harsh for me to talk about someone like this, but I just absolutely hate it how when somebody dies, all of a sudden, like, people are afraid to speak ill of them. When, I mean, Colby, the, his death was a direct result of the decisions that he made in life, and he wanted to be a junkie. He was proud of being a junkie. That was his identity. That's what he wanted to do with his life. And I also talked about, how his mom keeps talking about what he stood for. I think that a lot of emphasis needs to be put on the fact that yes, he did stand for these things, but because he chose to be an addict, because that came first, all of those other things came second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. All of those other things were pushed back because of his addiction, because he wanted to be an addict over an environmentalist. He wanted to be a junkie over someone who took care of animals. He wanted to be a junkie over someone who helped homeless. He wanted to be a junkie more than he wanted to be anything else. Or, if he didn't, he would have focused more on those other goals as opposed to focusing every single day, every bit of his energy on cop and dope. Uh, like I said, I have grieved, and the mourning process is over for me. So now I can actually take a step back and look at the reality of the situation. And I'm not trying to talk like my shit don't stink, because it certainly does. I'm an addict. I'm on methadone. I'm no better, absolutely no better than a junkie. But the thing is that that's not what I want. This is not what I want. It's my situation and my reality at the time being. But I work every day on changing that reality. And soon enough, that reality is going to be changed. I mean, for example, last weekend I went without methadone because I just don't want to be on it. And I realize I have to take steps in order to get off of methadone. And I'm taking those steps. Um, and I think that's a big difference between Colby and I. And that's the reason that there towards the end, we had been separated for such a long time, because we were at different points. We wanted different things out of our life. He never wanted to be clean. I want to be clean. Uh, I realize that I have more to offer to the world than fucking, than to be a drug addict. I fully realize that, and I don't think that, I don't think Kobe gave a shit, really. But, I know I sound really harsh in this video also, but it's just, I think that it's very important that people not get jaded, and people not be afraid to talk, to be truthful about the situation because this person is deceased. I mean, let's place blame where blame is due on Colby, because as I said, his death was a direct result of the decisions that he made in his life. And instead of making the decision, Saturday, July 25th, instead of making the decision to go home and spend some time with his mom, he chose to put a needle in his arm, sitting in the back of, sitting outside in bumfuck Egypt. Instead of, for the 7-8 months before he died, instead of making the choice to take responsibility for his actions and turning himself in, he made the choice to run and continue doing drugs because drugs were that important to him. Drugs were so important to him that he was willing to risk his absolute freedom to continue getting high. Now, that's fucked up. And yes, he did have mental illness. He was mentally ill, but I have mental illnesses, but it does not affect. I still realize what is important to me. Just like Colby absolutely realized what was important to him. It's just that what was important to him was dope and getting high and staying fucked up, staying drunk, smoking crack, shooting X, shooting dope, doing coke, whatever the fuck else, And yeah, that's the reality of the situation. And I think that if his story is going to be told, that emphasis needs to be put on the fact that yes, he had the potential to be somebody great, but drugs held him back from being that person. And it was nobody's fault but his own. It was his choice. His choice only. Yeah. That's basically it. It just kind of, I realize that his mom is hurting and everybody's hurting and nobody wants to, nobody wants to be honest with themselves about these kind of situations because these situations are so painful. But damn, man, I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna stagnate because Colby died. Colby made the choice. When you're an addict, you know that every time you put that needle in your arm, that there's a chance that's gonna be it. You know it. And I think that's sort of part of the allure, almost, is being so close to death. So it's just, I don't know. I just hate seeing people act like he was just some saint when he was definitely a good person. But I mean, he fucking wrote his life. We all write our own lives, man. And yeah, he made very bad choices, and we all make bad choices. But come on. That's it. I'm about to get in the shower, I think. I don't know, it's 4 o'clock. I don't feel like getting in the shower right now. Oh, I gotta put my clothes in the dryer, though. I do have to do that. Okay. Yeah, that's all.